What's up, sports fans? First off the wire, let's talk about the New York Yankees getting the gentleman that hit 59 home runs last year, Mr. Stanton. What's up? Welcome to the New York Yankees. I hope I'm not saying anything before it's official, but exciting. And can't wait to be an opening day in Yankee Stadium here in just a few months. About 109 or 10 days, I think. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm here to talk about is 30 ways and 30 days. 30 ways, 30 days. Sorry if I look a little bit rough. I just flew in from Florida. I'm here back in my home office in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm going to go watch some college basketball here in a little while, but wanted to get my 30 ways and 30 days done with for the day so I could relax a little bit. This is something that I get excited to hang out and talk for just a few minutes with my Facebook friends every day and just share some ideas, some things that have been instrumental over my last 25 or so years in business. And today, my 30 ways, 30 days is going to focus on being prepared. You know, there's an old acronym, PPPPP, and that's, what is that? It is proper planning prevents poor performance. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Almost forgot it there. I wasn't very prepared for this, but proper planning prevents poor performance. And, you know, there's no excuse not to be the most prepared person in a game. There's no excuse to not be the most prepared person in a meeting. You might not be the most talented yet. You might not have the most experience yet, but you can always do your homework. You can always be ready. You can always anticipate what might go right and what might go wrong, and if there's any backup plans as well. John Maxwell wrote a great book. I'm sure many of you, if you're into personal development like I am, have probably read it. John Maxwell wrote a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws to Leadership. That's a pretty strong title, right? Irrefutable Laws to Leadership. And one of them was the law of navigation. And in that, he talks about how a great leader is able to have vision to look way up in front of what everyone else can see. And he uses many examples in those books about, you know, in the early days when people were coming over on the boats back, you know, in the Christopher Columbus days. And what a really great leader could do is that they can anticipate everything if they had enough food supply, what their emergency backup situations were, and stuff like that. Read the book for yourself and you'll get my point. But what a great leader does is he anticipates, again, what could go right, what could go wrong, and he's able to adjust the plan accordingly, because 30 ways in 30 days is about picking out a few goals and going after them. And we know that whenever you go after something, it's probably going to take, I once heard it, I think from Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, that any business is going to take twice as much money as you thought and 3 times as long. Or maybe it was twice as long, but 3 times as much money as it's going to take. And think about it. Why do most businesses go out of business? I think the statistics are something like 95% of businesses go out of business within the first 5 years. Well, the business owner was probably not prepared. Maybe he wasn't prepared financially. Maybe he wasn't prepared for market trends. Maybe he wasn't prepared that he wouldn't like it, you know, whatever. He just simply wasn't prepared because, in retrospect, he probably didn't make a good business decision in launching his business. So who else do we have? I got a lot to talk about today on this topic. I got some friends. I got Mary Beth. Welcome to 30 Days, 30 Ways. Wink, welcome. And let's go Yankees. Absolutely. Twayan, nice to see you. Sid up in Canada, how are you? Doug, hope you're well. Carla, nice to see you. And welcome from Chi-Town, absolutely. And Chi-Town being Chicago, it looks like the New York Yankees are giving, or part of the trade is to give up their all-star second baseman, Starlin Castro, so he'll be dealt to the Marlins. But this isn't a sports show. We're here today to talk about success. We're here today to talk about PPPP. Proper planning prevents poor performance. I've talked about it once or twice on these 30 ways, 30 days. But back when I went to college, my mom got me this tape series called Where There's a Will, There's an A. And I think when people first hear about that, they sort of laugh and they chuckle and say, oh, that's cute. You know, you got some study aids for college and stuff like that. But my parents and I both took college very seriously. My dad told me, listen, you got 1 year to prove yourself. We'll pay for your college. But if you don't get all A's and B's, you're done. And so I said, okay. My mom, if you remember John Ritter, may his body rest in peace. He was a great actor, the guy in Three's Company. He was on an infomercial the summer before I went to college, and he talked about how the people that had studied this tape series had done They got all A's and B's in college, and my mom really wanted me to do it. And so I wound up listening to these tapes, and it wound up probably being my first taste of really personal development, realizing that, hey, if you're not good at something and you want to get good at something and other people have done it or other people share ideas, that will be helpful, right? And so I'll always remember this, and if you're in college or you're in high school or you're thinking about taking tests or you're coaching your kids, you're a tutor, this is really a great idea, is you're going to pretend like you're the teacher. So this is you getting ready for a test that you want to get an A on. You pretend that you're the teacher, and you get some index cards, and you write down every possible question that could be asked in that test. And you go back from all of your notes for the time frame that we're talking about. You go through all the chapters for the time frame that we're talking about. You pretend like you're the teacher, and you write down every possible question. Now, if you know it's going to be more of an essay test, you might want to focus your efforts there. If you know it's multiple choice, you focus your efforts there. But you anticipate every single possible question. And I used to have index cards with like 60, 70, 80 questions. And I would go through them one at a time and memorize them. I'd go through them one at a time and memorize them. And I'd have other people ask me, and I'd ask myself, and I'd carry them on the way to the test. And guess what? When it was time to take the test, I was prepared. I was ready for every question, right? The teacher couldn't have thought of a question that I didn't think of because I'd been listening to them, the whole semester or whatnot. So I'd write it down, and I tell you, I was Dean's List, and if anybody's interested, I was the #1 communication, tied with somebody else, but we were tied for first communication student. I won an award, and if you would have known me in high school, I really wasn't somebody that got great results, but I mainly wasn't somebody that was prepared, okay? So my whole talk today is on being prepared. Next thing I want to talk about is a lot of people will say, you're really lucky. You ever do something really well and people say, wow, you're really lucky doing that. Like if you watch an athlete, maybe, but you can tell who the really good ones are, right? I was watching a game a little bit earlier. Boston College upset Duke. Hopefully nobody was TiVoing that. Does anybody still use that term? I doubt it. But I was watching a game earlier, and the announcer said, I was watching the team practice yesterday, and this guy was the last guy in the gym. And that doesn't mean he was the last guy to get to the gym. It means he was the last guy to leave the gym, and he was... It was a 2-point game at the very end, and he was shooting free throws. He got fouled, and he had to hit these free throws, and it was money, man. He just went up boom and boom. Why? Because he was prepared. Why? Because he practiced more than anybody else. So today we're talking about being ready for anything that can happen, good or bad, in business, in your life, and being ready for it. And so there's an old definition that I love about the word luck, and it said that luck is when preparation, right, meets opportunity. When preparation meets opportunity. When I first got involved in the company that some of you know or many of you know I'm involved with, and my brother Mike and my partner Kim, we've done very well. We've climbed to the top of the company and been there for 20 years, and we've had a great career. But you know what? It was those 4 years before we got into Legal Shield that we were with another company where we really prepared for this opportunity, right? Imagine like it's a learning curve, and success is up here. The faster you go through your learning curve and climb that, the more successful that you're going to be at a quicker level. So a lot of times when you are successful, people will say they were lucky. Well, guess what? Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. And so my message today is to look at your goals. Look at whatever you want to accomplish in your life and ask yourself, what do you got to do to get more prepared? I wish my brother Mike was here with me now because he knows this story a lot better than I do. And I'm gonna say that it was a drummer for Billy Joel, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So Mike, if you're listening, pipe in. But my buddy, who else we got here? Brandon Beals, nice to see you. Jill, nice to see you. Jody, Scott, Matt Ward, what's going on? And anyway, this drummer for Billy Joel gets sick. And I don't know exactly what happened to him. He got hurt or he got sick. And they were looking for a new drummer. And so they called a couple of different people, and they weren't ready. They weren't in practice. What this one particular guy was, and guess what? For a long run, he was the drummer for Billy Joel. And I wish I could have his name, and I wish I could have all my facts in order. But the reality is that the first 2 or 3 guys that they called, they weren't practicing. They weren't in the groove. They weren't ready to go. But there was one guy that had been practicing every day, even though he didn't currently have a band, even though he didn't currently have any gigs, but he was practicing every day. I see my friend Matt Ward. Matt runs and has run. He was one of the guys that I first met when I started doing stand-up comedy, and Matt ran one of the best contests. It was called Port City's Top Comic for years. And Matt can attest that there's probably been times in his comedy career, as they've been in mine, where you didn't expect to go on stage that night. Or maybe you only were getting 5 minutes, but now they needed you to go 15 minutes. Or you got a phone call on a Friday at 5 o'clock and says, hey, somebody's sick, can you fill in? For me, I remember once where a guy was across the street at the hotel, and for whatever reason, we couldn't get him out of his room, the headliner, and he was about 20, 30 minutes late, and the owner, Timmy Sherlin, back is going like this. Luckily, that particular day, I was prepared enough where I had some backup material to go to, right? So this whole talk today is about being prepared. When your number's called, are you going to be ready, right? And so that's my message for today. A couple other things I'll talk about, the word planning and whatnot. There's a concept when I first got in a business called plan, do, review. Plan, do, review. You plan something out, you do it, and then you review it. And the thing about reviewing it is you really got to be open to feedback, whether you want to call it constructive or whatnot. You got to realize that if you want to get better, you have to learn from what you've already done, okay? So in being prepared, the best information that you can have is from recent activity, right? Plan, do, review. See how it went so you can get better every single time. As the New York Yankees were just hiring did I mention that we got Stanton? Watch out for the Yankees this year, baby. When the Yankees were looking for a new manager, one of the things that was often discussed on ESPN and elsewhere were analytics. Analytics are basically, all the statistics of everything, how batters do against each other, how they do in day games versus night games, how they do, how they've done against a certain pitcher. It's all the averages that maybe you wouldn't normally look at, but not only the pitchers and the catchers and the coaching staff, but all the players now have that instantly. And many times you can see in the dugout, say they're changing a pitcher, they'll bring the guy back from the on-deck circle, say it's Aaron Judge, and they'll say, okay, Aaron, here's what this guy likes to do. He likes to pitch outside to you. He likes to do this. He likes to do that. Sit on that fastball in the middle. Man, I'm so excited. I can't wait till baseball season, man. All my examples are now turning into the Yankees. Yesterday, I was sort of excited about the Yankees, but when you got Gary Sanchez, right, Aaron Judge, right, Giancarlo Stanton, Didi Gregorius, Greg Bird, let's go Yankees. So if you're a Red Sox fan, I apologize. Not for this, but I apologize for the season that you're about to have. What? I'm just teasing. But guys, today my talk, and hopefully we're having a good time. Let's see who else has joined us, is about being prepared. Charles Graves, Gabriel Toyon, do not fear the man who has kicked 10,000 times, for the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee. Whoa, I like that. Toyon throwing out a Bruce Lee quote on my Facebook Live. I love it. If anybody has any quotes or anything else they'd like to share, please do that. Jason Lavender, I believe. Jason, I'm not sure if you're at the Millennial event in Raleigh, North Carolina this weekend. I heard it's going to be an amazing event, and if you are, give everybody there my love and my respect. I know those guys are ripping it up. And today, guys, we're talking about being prepared. PPPPP, proper planning prevents poor performance. And again, there's no excuse to be in a meeting and somebody asks you a question and you go, I hadn't thought of that. Think of it in advance, right? Think of it in advance. When you go into a meeting, know what your objectives are. Think like the other person. If you go into a meeting or you're in a situation, what do they think? Put yourself in their shoes, right? Whether it be in a sports situation or a business meeting. What are they looking to accomplish, and how can I help them meet their needs? Okay, again, in reviewing, if you haven't read the great book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell, there's one whole chapter there called The Law of Navigation, where it talks about a great leader is prepared for just about anything and everything. They've got backup plans. They know the good that could happen. They also know the challenges and the obstacles that they might face. Hey guys, if you haven't read my 162 book, it's a great holiday gift. Send me a message. Let me know you want a book, and I'll get one out to you. You can go right to the162guy.com, the162guy.com to get my book. And in those first couple of chapters, when I sort of lay out my 162 idea and what it would take to do it, if you remember that, or if you have that book right now, I put obstacles. I think I put possible obstacles, and I lay out everything that was going on in my life for that 6-month period. For my Legal Shield business, I had 3 conventions that I was going to have to get out of or play hooky with, or just explain to my company why I wasn't going to go to those important events. And I did that. I called the CEO of the company. I talked to my business partners. and I had a niece that was getting married. My niece Marianne was getting married. It was not fun not being with my family and being with her on that special day. But I thought about what could knock me out. My dad was 86 at the time I started the tour, and I knew that he wasn't going to be around for much longer. So I discussed it with him, and I prepared. I said, hey, is it okay if anything happens that I go to a baseball game that day, and if there's a day off, I'll catch the funeral or something like that, but would you understand? So I had everything planned out in advance. I thought, what could go right, what could go wrong? I looked at the finances. I tried to guesstimate how much it would be for a game, how much it would be. I did all the travel. I said, okay, I could fly here, drive there, fly here, take a train, fly here, fly here, fly here. There were 33 flights. Then I said, okay, out of 6 months, I'm going to spend the home games at my brother Tommy's in Long Island. What about the away games? Well, that's 80-something nights. Well, my goal is to just spend, I'll do 40 in hotels and 40, and how much for a night? Well, about $100 a night. So I tried to plan as best as I could. Now, if you read that book and you really read it, you'll probably be laughing because it didn't sound like I had much of a plan at all. I was really only planning my logistics about 2 or 3 weeks out, and I would get to a game, be looking for my tickets and my keys and my wallet and my money and everything else. But the reality is that these are things I've learned over the years, and what I know is that being prepared beats not being prepared. I meet so many people that open up new businesses, that open up restaurants, that open up all these things. And what gets them is they weren't ready. Maybe they weren't ready for the tax bill. Maybe they weren't ready for, for whatever, for costs, unforeseen costs that come up. And my advice to you is if you want to win, and I know if you're watching this, you want to win in life. And if you want to win in life, you got to be prepared. Okay? You have to anticipate what could go right or what could go wrong, and you have to be willing to deal with those situations. So I'm looking through my notes. I think I pretty much hit everything that I wanted to hit today. And remember, with all of your goals and everything, plan, do, review is so important, right? You plan something out, you do it, but immediately, not a week or 6 months later, but immediately you get together with your core team and you say, what could we have done? What went well? Let's compliment each other. What was great? What wasn't so great? What were the challenges? What could we have done to eliminate those challenges or overcome those challenges as well? So my name is Steve Melia. This has been 30 Ways, 30 Days. Day 20, we only got 10 more to go. So thank you for joining me on this beautiful Saturday. God bless everybody. Have a great day. And let's go Yankees. Let's go Yankees. 109 days till baseball season.